Net1 UEPS Technologies provides payment solutions and transaction processing services.
Yeah, so this company we don't talk about very often, but it certainly is big enough. Remember, these are the guys that have the license to do the distribution of the pension payouts here in South Africa. They've been embroiled in a nasty conflict with Cash Paymaster Solutions, which is an ABSA subsidiary. There's been allegations of fraud there. They seem to have navigated that. Remember also that it's not just a Southern African business. They do have some operations globally, and it is listed on the NASDAQ
Market
as well.
cap here, we're looking at 11.6 billion rand, has no PE, does not pay any dividends.
My research on this one showed that it had traded profitably, but no dividends. So I reckon it does have a price-to-earnings ratio.
So it does have a PE.
What is yours?
I agree, it has a PE.
It has a PE. What is your PE?
So the PE I pulled here, which was unfortunately converted from dollars, is 11 times roughly.
Yeah, that sounds
11
fine.
times? We're going to go with that. So apologies for that data. No dividends at this point. Give me your lowdown. Paul, obviously just giving a scenario there, the context and the fact that they've come through this tough
That is actually
period.
very good context to have on this company. What I like about the business is that you can actually understand what they do. They facilitate transactions between banking entities, non-banking entities, individuals that don't really have access to banking, etc. They've got sort of a very interesting point-to-point sales thing in Korea, which is about 20% of the business. The majority of the business is still done locally, so it's about 74% of the business is still in South Africa, so the income is generated here. But they've got exposure to sort of large developed markets where they can definitely grow. They've specialized in providing that technology of doing these transactions, facilitating. They have sort of a bit of exposure where they do shorter term loans, etc. when it comes to those facilitating of the transactions. But I understand this business model to a greater extent than sort of some of the rest of the companies to come. And
Look, Serge Bellamont, who's the guy that set this thing up, is quite a colourful character. You know, he took no prisoners. He was quite outspoken when the business didn't achieve the multiple he thought that they deserved here. He took the business, listed it offshore, engineered some quite complex interrelated trading. It's now listed both there and here. His argument all along was that a business like this, with innovative technology, with an interesting emerging market story, ought to be trading on a substantially higher multiple. So that's all.
Let's also just talk about the share price graph. This is unscathed given the current market conditions.
So run about there in 2013, 2014 was when all the news was breaking and the dramas, and the Constitutional Court gets involved about whether or not that contract. I don't think they were accused that much of having been involved with anything. The accusation was that the agency which gave the license to do the distribution of the pension payouts had been had acted improperly. The move upwards to the right at the end there has more to do with like the new generation payment gateways that they're developing. There's a product called Zazu, which they have launched globally, which enables third-party retailers to do switching and payments and card captures and online banking captures and all that sort of stuff is what's getting people juiced up.
Yes. Have you had exposure to
Net1? No, it's still small companies these, and we need to remember that when you go to institutions, or rather financial institutions that are smaller, we're slightly more wary. So we prefer sort of quality when it comes to that and longer track records. And I'm not saying, I'm not dissing this company. As I said, I actually like the business model and what they do because they're focusing on technology, and technology is definitely the way to go. They've had a performance of over 80% for the last year when you look at that, and it's they've just been flying since that allegations we saw in 2013 and so. And as Paul rightly mentioned, it didn't actually have anything to do with them. It's more the agents that used them.
If they can keep it up, then all good for this business model going forward.
Yeah, it's fairly tightly held stock, doesn't trade all that liquidly here. It's got more stock that's offshore, so that's another potential wrinkle. But it is sizable. I mean, it's a 13-odd billion market cap. We were saying 11.6, but I think again, it's one of those complex ones with dual listings. So you have to like take the one and convert or gross up. Or
hot or not, Nia?
Well, I'll be hot on this one, yes. I think it has opportunity.
Paul, hot or not?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with hot as well. The share price doesn't lie, and obviously the new developments people are liking.